and welcome to More Than Clothes with me, your host, Sarah Ryan. In this podcast, we'll explore the connection between style, identity, confidence, and mindset, and why getting dressed is never just about clothes. I remember being out with a client one day. We were doing some shopping, and she picked up this jacket, and it was quite a loud jacket. It would definitely stand out to most people as you walk down the street, but was absolutely beautiful, and this jacket really caught her eye. You could see it in her face that she absolutely loved this. And then she put it back and said, I couldn't wear that. And I asked her why. And her answer was, well, what would people think of me? What would they say? People would talk. And that question, what will people say, is one of the biggest reasons why so many women hold themselves back from expressing who they really are. Let's get into that today. The fear of other people's opinions hold so many women back from expressing their style or just wearing what they damn well want to wear. And I want to get into and try and rationalize this fear, this common fear. And if you're in that group of people who have ever said this or ever thought this, hear me out today and maybe let me know in the comments whether something has hit home for you today and it might just change your mind on something. The first thing I want to do is let's go back in time. We need to go quite a ways back to start to understand and rationalize this fear. So we're going to go back thousands of years when it was so important to our survival and our safety that we belonged to a group. It was absolutely essential for our survival. Being rejected or being some kind of outcast or standing out too much, it could mean death without sounding too dramatic, but that was the reality of not being part of a group, safety in numbers. If you were somehow outcasted from the group or stood out, there was a very real possibility of you being killed, maybe by a wild animal or an opposing group of people, I don't know. But being part of that group meant safety. And being rejected meant exclusion from that group of people, loss of protection, greater vulnerability to dangers, including predators. So the way you created safety and security for yourself was by fitting in. Our brains are still wired to treat social rejection as a threat. But is that still relevant for today? If for some reason you wore the sparkly coat and someone didn't like it, is it the case that you're going to be outcast from society forevermore and you might be eaten by a tiger? Or, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But that is actually the science behind it. Our evolution just hasn't caught up to modern day life where these threats are no longer a reality. But making sense of that, we have to talk it out. And, it takes a lot to actually kind of say, you know what, I'm not going to be an outcast if I decide to wear what I want. Today, the stakes are very, very different. But the way we have evolved as humans, we just haven't fully caught up yet. Now, I will put a caveat in there and say that, unfortunately, in some parts of the world, there is still a threat for wearing what you want. However, I'm speaking about the majority of women that I have worked with where there is no threat to life. There is no threat to safety and security for wearing that sparkly coat. That's what I'm getting at here today. So in modern life, expressing yourself through your clothing is not a survival risk. But our brains are still interpreting these potential judgments as danger. So the result then is you know what? We're going to play it safe. We're just going to buy the black coat that goes unnoticed. We're going to avoid anybody's attention. We are just going to stay invisible and dress like most other people are dressing. So staying within these kind of invisible style rules. And you yourself may have been doing this, playing it small, looking at the things you'd really love to wear, or maybe you see people online and they're dressing like really just having fun with their style, and it makes you think, gosh, I wish I could do that. You can do that. You can do that. If we rationalize that fear, then we start to get a little bit more freedom back. Let's go back to the question when that client said to me, what will people say? And if you've ever said that to yourself, I want you to ask yourself a question. Who are you referring to when you talk about people? What will people say? Who are these people? Are they close friends? Are they strangers? Are your neighbors, your colleagues, people you barely know? Who are these people that we're talking about? Whose opinion is having this control over what you're wearing? So identify the people you're actually talking about. That is a really important part of this. So take a moment if you need to and think about whose opinion are you actually being so mindful of. When you've identified them, now ask yourself these questions. Do their opinions actually matter? So let's say this is your, nosy neighbour from down the street, who most likely is talking about what you wear, no matter what you wear. So you might as well wear what you want anyway. But ask yourself, does the opinion of Joan down the road really mean that much to you, that you're going to let her dictate how you live your life? Does Joan down the road care about your well-being? Is Joan down the road an expert in your style, or any kind of style expert for that matter? Is Joan down the road an expert on you? Most of the time, the answer is no. But yet we're handing over so much power to these people. Now, here's a little bit of tough love. Most people don't care about you. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but that is the truth. I mean, most of us have quite a small inner circle of people who we care about. We care about their opinions. We care about their well-being. And hopefully the same is true for them caring about you. But most other people couldn't give two hoots about what you're wearing. And yet we're thinking, what will people say as they walk by me down the street? The simple reality is that people have too much going on in their lives. They're so preoccupied with what is going on for themselves. You know, they've got work stuff going on. They've got relationship stuff going on. They have their own insecurities, let's not forget. They're not analysing what you wore today. They're not going to give it a second thought. But we imagine this spotlight on ourselves that simply isn't there. Now, unfortunately, the odd time we will come across people who love to give their opinions. Okay, they have no place of authority, nobody asked for them, but they feel it's their place to share their thoughts and opinions on what you've been wearing or what you are wearing. So from time to time, someone will comment or react to changes that they see in what you're wearing or how you're behaving. And keep in mind, this often has nothing to do with you when they make a comment. If someone feels it's their place to make a comment on what you're choosing to wear, keep in mind that there's a whole host of reasons why they might decide to share this with you. They may have become used to a particular version of you. And I've had to work with clients on this because some people do not like when you change. I'll talk about that in just a moment, but that is something very real that I've had to work with clients as they kind of shed this layer of people pleasing and, dressing in a way that will hopefully make other people happy. When they shed that, it can make other people uncomfortable. And there's ways of managing that. We'll talk about that. So maybe they've got used to a particular version of you and they have you in a kind of a nice, neat little box, and that makes them comfortable, for you to be in that box. And when you start to change, it disrupts their expectations of you, and it kind of unsettles them a little bit, and they don't know quite what to do. And sometimes seeing you grow or express yourself highlights something they are not doing in their own life. So change in you can make other people feel uncomfortable because it forces them to confront their own stagnation. I'll share with you a client example here. I again was out shopping with a client, and she was approaching a milestone occasion in her life, and we were looking for something for that occasion, and also some everyday pieces as well. And I fulfilled this brief, and she turned up to try on her items. When she tried these things on, she said, these are things that I would never have chosen for myself, but I love them. And she said those magic words that I love to hear. I feel like myself. And I could see her looking in the mirror, and she just was, turning, and she couldn't get enough of herself, taking photos in the mirror of this outfit that she had on. And I was just, that's for me just the icing on the cake. It is such an amazing thing to witness in a person when you see that happening in front of your eyes, where they just simply try on a different type of outfit, and all of a sudden you see this person blossoming before your eyes. It is an incredible, incredible feeling, and just magical to witness. And we were both just on cloud nine that day. She was thrilled with what I had found for her, and I was thrilled with the day, and just everybody was really, really happy, and I couldn't have asked for a better day, to be honest. The next day, I get a message, and she says, I've changed my mind about the outfits. And I thought to myself, what has happened since we left that shop yesterday to her sending this message to me today? And I knew somebody had said something to her. So I asked her straight out. I said, did somebody say something? And she said, my husband doesn't like the clothes. And my heart sank. I felt so sad for her. I felt sad for the whole situation, to be honest. And I could imagine her just kind of shrinking back to wearing the stuff that she didn't feel good in the first place. And that is why she got in touch with me. So she was just found herself caught in this really difficult situation, because this feedback was coming from somebody obviously that is significant to her, and their opinion matters. But I just felt so sad that she was being held back from doing something as simple as wearing what she wanted to wear. It was as simple as that. And after seeing her looking in that mirror at herself and loving what she was seeing, I was just heartbroken. And I tried to convey that to her. I said, look, this is your time to shine. She was approaching a significant birthday. I was like, if you're not going to do this now, when are you going to do it? I pushed back a little, because it's just so important to see someone light up like that. And And there are ways of managing, somebody's opinion who is in your inner circle and you do care about. If you have found yourself in that situation where you are not pushing yourself to wear the stuff that feels like you, that makes you feel alive, that brings you joy because somebody else doesn't like it. Now, I could be, humorous here and sometimes I joke to people and say, well, if your partner doesn't like it, then he shouldn't wear it. And I'm being a little bit lighthearted here, but in some cases it's a very real situation that people are, for want of a better term, are being controlled in terms of what they wear and how they express themselves. If you find yourself in that situation, I would hope that, given that this person's opinion means so much to you, there's ways of managing it. I would suggest being open and honest and saying something along the lines of, I'm really excited. I'm starting to kind of explore my style because I'm not happy with how it is right now. And I'm learning more about myself. It's this journey of self discovery I'm on, and I'd really love your support in that. Now, their response to that will tell you a lot about the relationship. Keep in mind, you're not asking for permission here. You are telling them, you're sharing this journey with them, you're inviting them to be part of it. But it's not a discussion whether it's going to happen or not. Most of the time, if you approach it like this, the person who hopefully cares for you, loves for you, will support you. So if you do find yourself in this situation where you're getting feedback from maybe a friend or a parent, or I don't know who might be in your life that's giving you this feedback, you can ask yourself a couple of questions. So one of them is their feedback coming from a place of support or discomfort? Are they protecting me or protecting their own worldview or how they see me? Do they genuinely want the best for me? Keep in mind, not all feedback deserves equal weight. I hope my words of encouragement that I gave my client that day, and the feeling that she had, that I know she had in that shop trying on those outfits, I hope that spurs her on to continue wearing what she wants to wear, because I know she felt amazing and she looked amazing. And nobody should hold you back from feeling like that. Thankfully, I'm in a position that I get a lot of support from my partner. And, I've been known to wear a few odd things, but I've never been criticized or put down or been told, that's not you, don't wear that. I don't like it. I'm kind of in a place where I'm pretty good at not letting people's thoughts bother me at all. I get that when it's someone close to you and you do value their opinions, we do need to ask ourselves, okay, where is this feedback coming from? Is it constructive feedback? Are they just saying, I don't like it? Or are they saying, you know what, if you wore just like this, or, maybe a different color in that, that's constructive. That comes from a place of, I suppose, style expertise, which most people, are not coming from. They're just kind of giving their opinion, as I say. Please break free from that. What will people say? Because it's just, you do not want to be at the end of your life asking yourself, did I live in a way that reflected who I truly was? Did I wear things that brought me joy? Did I express myself authentically? Or will you be the person saying to yourself, I played small so I wouldn't rock the boat, so I wouldn't upset anyone? At the end of your life, what do you want to be saying? If you are the person who feels like, oh gosh, if I'm, at the end of my life and looking back and saying, yep, I played small so I wouldn't upset anyone. If you're that person, if that resonates, there is good news. There is always time to change that. There is time to return to yourself, to explore what it is that brings you joy, to get to know yourself and express that. And the next time something jumps out at you in the shop because it's just so beautiful and makes you smile, but you put it back, don't put it back. Wear it and enjoy it and forget what people might say. Style is one of the simplest everyday ways to practice self-expression. And the more you practice being yourself, the less power the question, what will people say, begins to have. You simply take that power out of that question because it will no longer matter to you. Radical self-acceptance is a wonderful thing, and there will be people who will love that authentic you. And there will be people that don't. We're not everybody's cup of tea because we're champagne darlings. So let's not try to please everybody, because remember, you don't even like everybody's style. You're not supposed to. And not everybody is going to love your style. That is why it's called personal style. It is your style. It is not everybody's style. I want to leave you with a few questions to think on long after this podcast is listened to. If you find yourself saying, what will people say? If you are handing over your joy to other people, ask yourself this: who are the people whose opinions you are worried about? Get specific about who the word people is. Often asking that question will disempower the whole idea of what will people say, because you realize that these people are simply strangers. They're really nobodies to you. And so why would you care about their opinions? Do their views truly matter in the long term? Even if they were to walk by you in the street and they might look you up and down and say, gosh, what a terrible outfit. Is that going to matter to you in 5 years' time, their opinion, what they said to you? No. Your happiness is far more important. And lastly, what would you wear if their opinions didn't exist? There's a lot of freedom in that. So I'm going to leave it there for today. If you enjoyed it, please rate the podcast and subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to join my community as well. I'll link it in the notes, the Identity and Style House. That's where we have a wonderful group of women all on a similar journey in reclaiming their style, reclaiming their identity, and doing it in a very supportive and safe community. If you'd like to work with me, you can find the link below to book a clarity call on my website, sarahRyanOfficial.com. Thank you so much for listening today. I do hope it has changed something in you if you are that person who has said, what will people say? It is such a freeing thing to do if you can let go of that. So I hope you can do that. All right, everybody, I will talk to you again next time. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.